What is going on, guys? Welcome to your 16th UDK tutorial, and in this tutorial I'm going to be going over something called the content browser. So what we need to do next with our level is we need to add some materials to this house, because unless you're a huge fan of chess or checkers, you probably don't want these purple and gray boxes covering your house. You probably want to apply it with some nice looking pretty material, spice things up a bit, make it a little more interesting looking. So in order to do that, we need to apply materials to this house. And in order to access our library of materials, we need to go up here and open something called the content browser. So go ahead and hit this little black button, and now your content browser is going to pop up. Now, I'm going to take the rest of this tutorial just to go over the basics of this content browser. I'm not going to be going over every little radio button and checkbox and all these different packages, but what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be giving you the $2 tour of the content browser. So basically, what the content browser is it's basically a big search engine. For example, whenever we start making advanced games, we're going to have a bunch of different textures and a bunch of different models. For example, we're going to have models of trees and guns and cars, and we're going to have a bunch of sound effects like gunshots and car engines and people screaming. And this is where everything gets organized. Any asset that we make in an external program, such as like Photoshop and 3D Max, or maybe some sound program, we can search for that in this right here. So basically, let's start with the left-hand side. On the left-hand side is where we can basically tell our content browser where to look for the stuff we're looking for. For example, everything in the UDK gets stored in packages. So we can either look for those specific packages right here, or, and by the way, a package is just like a folder basically. So as you expand these, you can see that everything is just stored in folders and subfolders and yada yada yada. So basically, if we want to look in a specific package or folder, we can expand it, or what we can do is, this is what we're going to be doing generally, just go ahead and hit all assets, and that's going to allow us to look through all the folders or packages. Now, these different collections is your shared collections is pretty much if you're working on a project as a team, you can share your favorite collections pretty much. This is pretty much my favorites. So this is your shared favorites, and if you want to have your personal favorites, you can make your very own collection right here. I'm not going to be going over that because we got other more important stuff to cover. So in order to minimize this, if you don't want to look at it anymore, you can also hit this arrow, and that'll hide it from the view. But for now, I'll just keep it open for, the tutorial's sake. Now let's hop over to the right hand side, and this is your tags section. Now you can create new tags and destroy tags, but basically a tag is just a keyword. So if you want to apply tags to some of these materials, like you want to apply the building tag to any materials that you can use on a building, that's what you would do. So again, just like this packages section, you can minimize this if you don't want it, or maximize it. Now, the top here, actually I'll get to the top later because that's the part we use most often. But the bottom here is, if I just go ahead and minimize this, this is how you can set up your content browser in different views. By default, it's in the thumbnail view, excuse me, but you can also switch it to list view and to split views, horizontal or vertical. I like the thumbnail view the most. That's what I recommend using. Now right here is your zoom. If you want to zoom in, for example, if you really want to scroll when you're looking at textures or something, here's how you can do that. But by default, again, I like to reset that, leave it at 100%. Now right here is your default thumbnail size. So say you're saying, alright, my thumbnails are way too big when they're 128. So I'm going to go ahead and change it down to 64. It may make searching for your thumbnails a little bit easier, but by the way, I basically like to leave everything at default because they set it up default is a reason. They thought it was the easiest, and I think it's the easiest too. So that's basically the basics of how you can set up your view if you really don't like anything, how they have it set up by default. So now let's go ahead and hop to this top section. This top section is pretty much your browser or search engine. It allows you to search for any materials, any textures, models, sounds. It basically is a really advanced search engine, and it's awesome. So what we could do is search for, specific things like door, and then whenever we do that, we get all the door aspects. Look how many there are. Pretty cool, huh? all the different doors, door sounds, door static meshes. So that's how we can search for specific assets. We can also not search that and hop over to here, and this allows us to search for specific types of asset searches. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be searching for materials. So later on in the next tutorial, I'm going to go ahead and click materials, and then I'm going to be scrolling through here, and we're going to be finding the material that we want to apply to our house. But it's basically an advanced search engine, and you have a bunch of different options here, and whenever we need to, I'm going to be going over these, but for now I don't want to throw everything at you at once. Don't want to overwhelm you guys. So I'm just going to leave you at that for now. Basically, just remember this. Your content browser is where you go is basically a search engine for all your content that you can add into your level, such as sounds and 3D models like cars and guns, and also textures and materials like cloth and maybe wood or something like that. But in the next tutorial, I'm actually going to be putting this to use, so you might get a better understanding of how this works a little bit better. So for now, that's all you guys get. So thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.